which is a really old school way of doing things. And I just didn't think of the Beatles. There's probably other bands that did it as well, but they are the Beatles. So I'm
Not
thinking
not
that.
a bad band to cite, though.
Yeah.
I think they probably laid the groundwork.
Okay. So it opens up like Freddie and the Dreamers esque. And hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode, a 2025 episode. I think it's the first one proper. The others have been our compilation, cheapy ones. So it's the first proper 2025 episode. So welcome, everybody. My name's John. His name is Andy.
Mhm.
Drive to the forest in a Japanese car. Smell of rubber and country tar. Hindsight done me no good. Standing naked in this back of the woods. More on that later. But first, we've got a tune to listen to, selected by brother Andy. What have you got in store for us today?
Well, we are going to be starting 2025 by revisiting an artist we listened to in 2024. That artist is the one, the only Joe P.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So he released a single not that long ago. And I kind of always just had it on the back burner for whenever we would get around to him again. And I figured today is a fine day to do just that. So I would like you to listen to this track by him called Glass House.
Fair enough.
You've got everything you need. Go off, give it a listen, and let us know what you've made of it.
I'm in a glass house digging up stones, fossils of us that I should not throw. I heard that people don't change, they grow, so I'm taking good care of your dinosaur bones.
That's an interesting start there. This nice sort of riff that's a little bit syncopated. It sounds like a modern version of like Bowie Ronson riff or Bolan riff. Actually, there's a bit of glam rock to it. Yeah, interesting lines as well. I just want to hear those again. Start to need 3 in a bit.
I'm in a glass house digging up stones, fossils of us that I should not throw. I heard that people don't change, they grow, so I'm taking good care of your dinosaur bones.
Yeah, that's a nice it's quite a good start actually. But there's got this real mixed bag and metaphors. So you got people in glass houses throwing stones, hypocritical. Something about relationships and not growing, fossilized, and then dinosaur bones. That makes me think of Cary Grant, bringing up Baby, second greatest screwball comedy of all time. Yeah, interesting. And then obviously we just heard the drums and keys kick in. Well, that's an interesting start.
In the nightclubs, they play the same songs that made us fall in love. Silent memories, intrusive thoughts, that's how we keep in touch. I saw you in the background of an old VHS tape. Reminded me of our hometown, our high school, our heartbreak. I found the note you wrote me on a faded yellow post-it, but it blew right through the door. I guess that you never closed it. I'm in a glass house digging up stones, fossils of us that I should not throw. I heard that people don't change, they grow, so I'm taking good care of your dinosaur bones. What does it feel like to want, but not to need love. Now that the bruises.
Excuse me. So yeah, it's interesting. That's so we now learned that beginning was a chorus. So it's also Beatles style to open with the main riff and chorus. The second chorus we heard had double tracking of the vocals, which I think is probably a good. They were slightly higher, which I think is probably a good move, because I wouldn't say these vocals are dialed in, but they're pretty tame and dampened down. Yeah, not what kind of I remember before from him. So yeah, his vocals actually can sound a bit like the instruments on the main, riff and stuff. They're all quite smoothed over and the same, so it's a good idea to do that. I noticed he had the technique of like building up the last 4 bars of the verse, and then he had that sort of like top of the swing moment, pause, and then into the chorus. So yeah, and then here we got a lot more sort of production techniques to sort of play with the dynamics of it. But it's all studio based techniques. It's not musical technique. I wonder if this has spent a long time percolating in the studio. And it's got to that point where the studio is as much as important as the instruments or whatever, which is fine if that's your thing. It's not particularly mine though. So interesting. Let's see how it goes.
Are gone for good. I see we're losing touch. I heard it from your mother that you moved to Minnesota. Put the address on the license that I found under my sofa. This is you're still where I left you.
Frozen in the chorus.
1320 Riverside, but you're not coming home, so I put it in a Ziploc, stuff it in a shoebox. I hide it in the attic with all the things that I pretend I lost. I'm in a glass house digging up stones, fossils of us that I should not know. I heard that people don't change, they grow, so I'm taking good care of your dinosaur bones. So I think I left a necklace, I wonder if you kept it somewhere in your apartment with all the other relics, back where it all started before we knew it ended. I'm in a glass house digging up stones.
He's doing this thing they did a lot in the 90s, where I would call it like they go out of focus and then into focus, orally. It's the kind of thing they did instead of a bridge type thing in a lot of songs in the 90s. Sorry, this is nonsense, but yeah, interesting. So it goes out and quiet, and kind of music goes out of focus almost. You get little twiddly bits, and then comes either bass or the drums, and then the full band come back in, and you get a big chorus or whatever afterwards.
Fossils of us that I should not throw. I guess people don't change, they grow, so I'm taking good care of your dinosaur. I'm in a glass house digging up stones, fossils of us that I should not throw. I heard that people don't change, they grow, so I'm taking good care of your dinosaur bones.
This chorus, which is, I guess, the big chorus in the song, I was coming back after that nonsense. There's a third vocal line track in there, and that's him going full pelt, and it sounds great. And the other 2 vocal tracks pale in contrast. They really do. It's a shame to have a bit more of that in the song, for me, my taste anyway. Let's just listen to that bit.
Of us that I should not throw. I heard that people don't change, they grow, so I'm taking good care of your dinosaur bones. I'm taking good care of your dinosaur bones. the other relics, back where it all started, before our whole world ended.
And then this kind of mumbled, petered out ending, which I guess is supposed to be poignant, but it just gives it a rather damp sort of ending. It's sort of a shame, really. Yeah, I think this is a really catchy song, and that main riff, a la Ronson or Bolan, is really, you can get people get to it. I think all the production techniques and choices that he made are the exact things that turn me off to this song, and are probably the exact things that make it hugely popular with other people. And you pay your money, you take your choice. So there you go. Let's be interested to see how this was put together, when this was. This feels like later on than Colour TV. I enjoyed a lot more than Leaves and this one. I'm guessing that was earlier, but we'll see. We have to get the skinny. Let's go back and chop it up with Andy.
All right, you're back. So, tell us about your listen to Joe P's Glass House.
Okay, so opens up, I want to say Beatles style, because I just know they did this, but I'm sure other bands did. But opens up with like the main riff and the chorus,
Yeah.
Which is a really old school way of doing things. And I just didn't think of the Beatles. There's probably other bands that did it as well, but they are the Beatles. So I'm
Not,
only thinking
not
of
a bad band to cite, though.
Yeah.
I think they probably laid the groundwork.
Okay. So it opens up like Freddie and the Dreamers-esque. And so yeah, and I dragged it back to listen to it again because I thought, and I later learned this was the chorus, and it's quite interesting. It kind of sets out the stall really of a lot of it. In the glass house, digging up stones, fossils of us that I should not throw. It's a little bit fuzzy there, but I think it's about right. I heard that people don't change; they grow. So taking good care of your dinosaur bones. So there's a real to stretch it, a grow bag of metaphors here. Um, so you got the greenhouse dwelling hypocrites with the composted remains of relationship going the way of the dinosaur, and that kind of instantly reminded me of my second favourite screwball comedy movie of all time, Bringing Up Baby, Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn. I don't know if you're aware of this.
I'm not.
Absolute fucking stone cold classic. Howard Hawks. All I say, Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn. That's all you need to know. But
Yeah.
he is a square paleontologist about to get married. Katharine Hepburn, screwball weirdo, and her brother from South America sends her a package called Baby, which happens to be a giant fucking leopard, who steals the one remaining bone from this dinosaur that Cary Grant's putting together.
Oh,
And so you have all these single, double, unarticulated entendres about him missing his bone, and etc., etc. So that kind of just threw me into that for some reason. But there you go. And just in case you're wondering, All About Eve is the number one screwball comedy of all time in my mind. But anyway, sorry, The Lady Eve, not All About Eve. You know, The Lady Eve, Barbara Stanwyck, Henry Fonda. Anyway, so back to the song. So the riff, I think, is guitar based, but there's plenty of production tomfoolery on it as well. It must be guitar based, but it sounds like some other stuff's been put on it. And then so he goes through this, and then it's joined after he finishes the chorus bit with the drums and the keys and the bass line, which again I wasn't sure if it was electronic, but later in the song it definitely sounds like a proper bass, if you know what I mean. It could have been both, to be fair. But it has the sense, particularly the riff, the main riff, which is the sort of killer element to the song, that it is of, to me, it's quite like a glam rock sound that's been modernized. It could easily be lifted from the catalogue of like Bowie Ronson or Mark Bolan. I can imagine if you just tinker it slightly, it could be a T-Rex song quite easily.
Mhm.
which I thought was, oh wow, that's quite interesting. So then the music kind of tapers down for the first verse. Well, what he does is he gets the last four bars, and he has a building up quality, letting you know the chorus is coming. So he scans the words quicker, and there's some keyboard notes underneath that are sustained. And it's kind of what it's doing is it's stretching out. So subconsciously it's adding tension,
Mhm.
um, tensing up almost. Um, but instead of snapping directly into like a bigger section, which would be the chorus, we get this. I think I've mentioned this before. We get this sort of apex of the swing where you're at the top of it and it's just everything still for a second and then you go into it.
Mhm.
Um, so yes, and again, it's a really good technique. Um, and I noticed in this chorus that the vocals, I don't think they work this for the sort of intro. I could be wrong, but for this one, the vocals are double tracked, and the second track's a higher voice as well. I think that's a really good idea because um, his voice for the main part seems quite dampened down. When I think back to previous, I can't really in my head recall Leaves as well, apart from in I keep thinking of being in that sort of like, corner of the room type thing for the video and all that, and the sporting gymnast women who nail the landings and all that.
Mhm.
But for color TV, his voice was quite a big part of what I liked about that, and Tom York-esque sort of moments to it.
Mhm.
Um, and this, I think I said in action, it's not like he's phoned in his vocal thing, but it's really quite dampened down and in a way it's quite samey to the music, um and so having this extra track just livens it up and makes it much better, I think. So we got another verse follows on with a different build-up technique, and it starts off and I was thinking, I said actually, of course it's coming, because again he does this quick and scanning words, but it's sort of, it's almost like it starts to race. And then we get this quickly strummed guitar, which again is literally just like almost starting to gallop.
Ramping.
And then we get a different kind of pause, which I call this the door knock pause. It gets to the bit and it's like, and then we go into the chorus. And then coming out of the chorus, we have a bridge of kinds, but it did make me chuckle. This does because it's that, and I've mentioned this before. This '90s, it was well really prevalent in the '90s. This kind of music that goes out of focus and then back into focus again. So everything comes down. You have a bit of twittering. Like it's almost like things are spinning and then it comes back into focus. Um, and it came in with like the bass, which was definitely a real bass, and then the full riff. So it's like a third different build-up technique as well, to make things sort of change the dynamism of it.
Yes.
Um, this chorus was the big chorus, and surprise, surprise, there is now a third vocal track. And this one is him singing properly full belt, and it's kind of like JP I remember from Colour TV. And it does make the other two really pale in significance. And the one thing I will say is I wish I'd heard more of that third track throughout the song. But again, it would have changed. I know it would have changed the dynamics of it, but I did miss that. No, his voice was just very sort of cool and laid back almost for most of the song. And this I really appreciated that in the this chorus. Um, it then sort of vamped for a little bit, only for like a couple of bars, but it was really not. I was really enjoying that. And then it kind of like tumbled out into this sort of almost like a mumbling finale. It just sort of said and it peters out. And I guess it's supposed to be poignant, but for me, it felt like an anticlimax. I just thought it was a bit of a shame, really, when he got all this momentum. It's an artistic choice, isn't it? And you don't give a shit what I say, but that's my catch on it. So I would say overall, this was undoubtedly a very catchy number, mainly due to that sort of 70s glam Bowie Bronson Boland riff I really liked. And it was a syncopated, it wasn't just a straight it was almost a syncopated riff with a really nice phrasing of the actual riff itself. Um, the overall feel of this, I think, compared to the other two tracks I listened to, is that it's a bit more smoothed out, with his voice as well as the music as well. And I get the sense that this percolated for quite a while in the studio, and it feels like there's a lot of production been put into this. I could be wrong, but that's kind of my take on it. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's really catchy. I didn't enjoy it as much as Colour TV.
Fair.
Kind of,
No,
to be
that's
honest.
certainly cool. And I think you said some pretty spot on things there in your observations about it. Yeah, this definitely felt a little bit more like cleaned up. Now whether you like that or not, or you gravitate towards
Yeah.
that or not, is completely up to you. But when you're tapping into a more of a like you go ahead.
So I did say in the reaction that some of the bits and pieces, the choices that he made in the production, particularly, are sort of the things that are well documented on this channel, which I don't particularly enjoy so much, but are exactly the choices which probably makes it popular with many people. So there you go. You know, you pay your money, you take your choice. Sorry.
I also think that like the observation about like wanting to perhaps put a more modern spin on that classic glam rock sound is what he was going for, and some of the production choices were based on that
Yeah.
as well. And it's so funny you mentioned it because the first couple times I heard this, I was like, who does this remind me of? Like a playful, who is it? And then I saw him in a photo for the video shoot of this, which we couldn't use because it's blocked. But he has this like bracelet on his hand, and I like zoomed in on it. And it's like those little like a friendship bracelet that has like the little blocks with letters on it that line up, and
Oh yeah.
it said
Oh
Bowie
really?
Bowie on his wrist, and I said, "That's who it is." That's so
Yeah.
funny. So yeah, it definitely reminds me of like someone's modern take on a certain era of Bowie's sound for sure.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting too, and another reason why I wanted to bring it, given our shared respect and admiration for the man. So we'll get into the track a little bit. I don't want to touch too much on the artist at this point. For God's sakes, we've covered him plenty. But yeah, New Jersey-based artist released this single in October of 2023 through Atlantic Records. It would appear that Joe P has a penchant for releasing new material in the autumn month, as Glass House came out about 1 year after after his last EP, French Blonde, in October of 2022, and 2 years after his first solo EP, Emily Can't Sing, released in October 2021. And we covered, as you mentioned, Color TV, which featured on French Blonde, and Leaves from Emily Can't Sing in prior episodes. We also listened to and discussed the track Baby Teeth by his former band Deal Casino, though it bears noting that Joe P re-recorded that track for and featured it as the closing track on Emily Can't Sing. Like most of his material, Joe recorded the single in his makeshift basement studio he built in his New Jersey home before submitting it to Atlantic for final touches. And he was interviewed by Backward Noise and spoke of the writing process for this track. I wrote it in LA with Kay Flay and Tommy English, and it was a different kind of song with a totally different mood. Then, when I got home, just for posting it on TikTok, as you do, I recorded a version that I was feeling, and it turned out to be heavier. There was a guitar element and distortion. I thought, well, this is different. Initially, it was meant to be a lot nicer, like a calmer kind of song. However, it took this new direction and I had no plan for that. So I had to follow it down that road. But then I went too far, ending up with too many tracks. That process involved doing too much and then scaling back. But I ended up liking where it is because it's super minimal. Because it's super minimal to produce. So I think this sort of alludes to what you were saying. The percolating and the toying with it and the long process of kind of honing it, which is really odd that you were able to link. I mean, it's cool that you were able to link that because this sort of spells that out. Like you wrote it one way in another place, he took it back home, it became this other thing, it became a monster that he then had to rein in. So it goes through all these different processes of throughout the songwriting, process that you have to like kind of tinker with and change things. So interesting stuff. When asked in the interview about an upcoming full-length album on the horizon, Joe had this to say: I was working on an album right before the tour, but then I put a halt on it because I had to leave. I'm halfway through it, I would say. Glass House and Don't Want to Love You, another single from 2023, are cool and fit in a really interesting way. It's like I have this fast upbeat song and then this heavier kind of song. I've always been able to do the slower acoustic built into a band world thing. So I'm just trying to cover those. It's kind of like three big ends to that spectrum that I'm seeing now with those with those already existing. It's like kind of a upbeat fun thing, but more dark, but big rock song. And then this stuff that I've just loved doing always, which is like starting quiet and then getting loud, like alt indie rock kind of stuff. So it at this point, however, it's interesting enough to note that those aforementioned tracks from 2023 are not going to appear on the full length album, which has been titled Garden State Vampire, that was released in August, not October, of 2024. So finally, he has his first full album debut with Atlantic Records that released just a few months ago at this point. I've given it a listen. It's really good. Probably bring some stuff from that down the line to the channel. But personal like hooray for me because I've been looking forward to like after these leaks of it's like Kenny Hoopla, like all these singles and EPs and stuff. It's like just your full album already, and we finally got it towards the end of 2024. So really, really good stuff. Let's jump into these lyrics. And you nailed the chorus, by the way. I'm in a glass house digging up stones, fossils of us that I should not throw. I heard that people don't change, they grow. So I'm taking good care of your dinosaur bones. In the nightclubs, they play the same songs that made us fall in love. Silent memories, intrusive thoughts. That's how we keep in touch. And I saw you in the background of an old VHS tape. Reminded me of our hometown, our high school, our heartbreak. I found that note you wrote to me on a faded yellow post-it, but it blew right through the door. I guess that you never closed it. I'm in a glass house digging up stones, fossils of us that I should not throw. I heard that people don't change, they grow. So I'm taking good care of your dinosaur bones. What does it feel like to want, but not to need love, not to need? Now that the bruises are gone for good, well, I see we're losing touch, and I heard it from your brother that you'd moved to Minnesota. The address on your license that I found under my sofa that says you're still where I left you, frozen in the photo, 1320 Riverside, but you're not coming home. So I put it in a Ziploc and stuffed it in a shoebox. I hide it in the attic with all the other things I pretend I lost. I'm in a glass house digging up stones, fossils of us that I should not throw, should not throw. I heard that people don't change, they grow, they grow. So I'm taking good care of your dinosaur bones, of your dinosaur bones. Taking good care. I'm taking good care of your dinosaur, your dinosaur. I think I left a necklace. I wonder if you kept it somewhere in your apartment, with all the other relics, back where it all started, before I knew it ended. I'm in a glass house digging up stones, fossils of us that I should not throw. I heard that people don't change, they grow. So I'm taking good care of your dinosaur bones. Chorus repeats. And then the post chorus, taking good care, I'm taking good care of, taking good care of your dinosaur, your dinosaur. Taking good care, oh, I'm taking good care of your dinosaur, your dinosaur. I know I left that necklace. I wonder if you kept it somewhere in your apartment with all the other relics, back where it all started, before our whole world ended. So yeah, Perella describes it as a song about the physical proof we leave behind in the wake of relationships. There's some really stellar, I mean, it borders on, depending on your mood or how jaded you are, it borders on a little saccharine, but my God, some of the lyrics are just so well written and do such a great job of like underscoring what once was. These like, and he uses terms like relics and fossils and all of this stuff. It's, I don't know. I just found it really charming and a far more clever way to look back on a retrospective relationship than what is usually pumped through the FM radio dials or forced on us by record labels.
Yeah.
Thought it was clever, cute, and I enjoyed it. And anytime I can sort of pick up on correlations to Bowie, whether naturally or, you know, through reading his bracelet and then having the epiphany moment, I'll take it because, you know, I'm both huge fans of Bowie here on the channel. So thank you, John, for going down the Joe P road once more with me. I appreciate you, man.
No problem.
Excellent, excellent. Well, guys out there in the listening audience, let us know what you thought of the song Glass House by Joe P. If you picked up on any of the acts that John mentioned, finding correlation to, or the Bowie one that we both kind of latched onto, please let us know down in the comments field below. Also, like, share, and subscribe if you'd be so inclined. It really does help us here at the channel, and we are forever grateful for you doing it. And hopefully, John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.